You are standing alone in the room. Your hands move with absolute perfection. You chop vegetables, type a complex email, or pour a hot cup of coffee flawlessly. Muscle memory runs the show. Every movement is a fluid dance. Everything is completely under your control. Then, a shadow falls over your shoulder. Someone is watching you. It might be a boss, a coworker, or a complete stranger. Instantly, your stomach drops into a cold void. A sudden chill runs down your spine. Your muscles tighten like a coiled spring. You freeze. You fumble the knife. You misspell your own simple name. You drop the heavy cup. The coffee spills everywhere. Hot liquid splashes on the cold floor. A massive wave of embarrassment floods your chest. The capillaries in your cheeks dilate violently. Your face burns. You apologize profusely. You feel incredibly incompetent. Why does your intelligent brain suddenly malfunction just because eyes are on you? You practice this simple task 1,000 times. You know exactly how to execute it perfectly. But the moment you have an audience, your central nervous system seemingly self-destructs. Society calls this tragic performance anxiety. Self-help gurus tell you to build more confidence. They say you simply lack mental focus under pressure. Wrong. Your personal confidence has absolutely nothing to do with this physical failure. The truth behind your sudden clumsiness is completely different. Right now, you are brutally judging yourself as a defective worker. But modern neuroscience sees something entirely different. Your brain is not breaking down. It is flawlessly executing a highly advanced biological algorithm. You are experiencing the neurological reality of the observer effect. Let me ask you a very specific question. Why would a perfectly capable human suddenly lose their most basic motor skills? Because your primitive brain does not care about your spilled coffee. It does not care about your professional email. It only cares about keeping you alive. When those unexpected eyes lock onto you, your basal ganglia gets violently disconnected. That is the exact part of your brain responsible for smooth, automatic movements. It is your ultimate biological autopilot. But an audience instantly triggers a primal alarm. Your amygdala perceives that silent stare as a direct, deadly threat. A predator is calculating your next move. In a split second, your prefrontal cortex seizes total control. It forces you to consciously think about every single micro-movement of your fingers. You frantically overanalyze the tight grip on your pen. You obsess over the exact angle of your fragile wrist. And that forced conscious control completely destroys the fluid rhythm of your deeply ingrained muscle memory. You instantly become a clumsy puppet controlled by a panicked puppeteer. You drop the physical object. You look absolutely ridiculous in front of everyone. But this exact biological glitch is exactly what kept your fragile ancestors from being brutally eaten alive. By the end of this video, you will understand why your clumsiness is actually a stunning masterpiece of evolutionary design. Society relentlessly pushes a deeply toxic narrative about your sudden physical clumsiness. They casually label it a pathetic lack of self-confidence or a fragile inability to handle basic social pressure. Your managers and your own internal monologue secretly assume you simply crack when the stakes are moderately high. But here is the exact detail where every single self-help communication book has lied to you. Forcing yourself to act perfectly smooth and confidently unshaken in these vulnerable moments is actually the biological poison destroying your nervous system. Stop. You are not a defective machine that needs a psychological software update. To understand the sheer brilliance of your current panic, we must look at your brain through the cold, objective lens of cognitive anatomy. Let us rigorously control the variables for a moment. When you are completely alone, your motor skills are absolutely flawless. When a coworker abruptly stands behind your shoulder, your hands instantly become uncoordinated and violently shaky. The only variable that changed was not your underlying physical competence, but the perceived environmental threat level. In 2010, cognitive scientist Dr. Sian Baylock at the University of Chicago conducted groundbreaking neuroimaging research on why highly skilled individuals suddenly choke under observation. The clinical results completely obliterate the myth of your personal inadequacy. When you perform a familiar daily task, your basal ganglia operates in the background like a stealthy, hyper-efficient biological autopilot. It requires absolutely zero conscious effort to function. But the precise second another human being locks their focused gaze onto your physical form, your primitive brain instantly categorizes that social evaluation as a mortal danger. Your amygdala perceives the silent observer not as a curious colleague, but as a hungry, calculating predator analyzing a vulnerable target. It rapidly floods your bloodstream with a massive, paralyzing surge of cortisol. This chemical tidal wave forcefully hijacks your executive control center. Your prefrontal cortex violently rips the steering wheel away from the highly capable basal ganglia. This precise neurological phenomenon is clinically known as explicit monitoring. Your brain becomes so desperately terrified of making a fatal mistake in front of the judgmental tribe that it tries to consciously micromanage every single automated muscle movement. It aggressively calculates the exact angle of your wrist, the tightening grip of your fingers, and the shifting tension in your forearm. This intense hyper-awareness is a complete biological overkill. By aggressively forcing conscious thought into a deeply subconscious physical process, the prefrontal cortex severely overloads your fragile working memory capacity. The established neural motor pathways literally jam under the extreme pressure. The entire biological system effectively short-circuits. From the outside, you look like a hopelessly anxious mess, fumbling a simple coffee cup. But from the inside, your nervous system is flawlessly executing a miraculously complex defensive protocol. Your physical body is not failing you at all. It is running an extreme survival algorithm meticulously designed to prevent a lethal misstep. Not a single healthy brain on this planet is immune to this violently disruptive physiological override. You are fully experiencing the paradoxical tragedy of human evolution, where a highly sophisticated mechanism designed to keep you alive is the exact thing making you look completely incompetent in the modern office. Why does your intelligent brain willingly sabotage your movements? To find the absolute truth, we must completely abandon the sterile modern office. We must travel back precisely 300,000 years into the brutal, unforgiving Pleistocene epoch. Your central nervous system was never engineered to type complex emails under artificial fluorescent lights. It was meticulously forged in an environment where every single moving shadow concealed a lethal threat. Let us converge evolutionary anthropology with your current workplace anxiety. In the ancestral savanna, being suddenly watched by an unseen entity meant only one terrifying thing. You were actively being hunted. A predator had locked its biological focus onto your physical form. Now, imagine a fragile gazelle drinking peacefully at an open watering hole. The moment it senses the unblinking, predatory stare of a lion hiding in the tall grass, it does not attempt to continue drinking smoothly. It does not care about looking graceful. Its amygdala instantly triggers a massive systemic override. The animal violently freezes. Blood is aggressively ripped away from the digestive tract and the fine motor control centers. Every single ounce of glucose and oxygen is desperately pumped directly into the large muscle groups of the legs. It prepares for an explosive life-or-death sprint. This is exactly what happens when your manager simply stands behind your desk. Your traumatized internal bodyguard, the amygdala, is partially blind. It cannot tell the physiological difference between a curious coworker and a starving saber-toothed tiger. It relies on a deeply ingrained, ancient software code. Sudden observation directly equals impending death. Human beings have highly visible white sclera in our eyes. This evolutionary trait evolved to help us silently track the gaze of our tribe members during cooperative hunting. But it also means your brain is hyper-tuned to detect exactly when someone is looking at you. When that coworker watches your hands, your threat detection radar detects the exact same predatory gaze. It instantly initiates the ancient gazelle protocol. It forcefully shuts down the prefrontal cortex. It brutally cuts the electrical power to your delicate finger movements. It dumps pure, unadulterated adrenaline into your veins to prepare your legs to physically run out of the glass building. But you are physically trapped in a modern ergonomic chair. You are forcefully commanding yourself to sit perfectly still in a civilized professional setting. The massive kinetic energy designed for a frantic jungle escape has absolutely nowhere to go. So, it violently vibrates through your nervous system. It makes your hands tremble uncontrollably. It makes you drop the heavy pen. It makes you spill the hot coffee. The invisible enemy here is not your lack of confidence. The true enemy is the highly toxic standard of the modern corporate workday. Society demands that you operate like a flawless, emotionless silicon machine for 8 hours straight. It expects your primal biology to simply switch off. But your physical body completely refuses to comply with that toxic, modern illusion. It stubbornly prioritizes your biological survival over your temporary professional reputation. Every single time you fumble a task under observation, you are not witnessing a pathetic personal failure. You are witnessing a spectacular, undeniable echo of human resilience. Your ancient ancestors survived the absolute harshest conditions on this brutal planet precisely because their nervous systems reacted with this exact, overwhelming intensity. The awkward clumsiness you passionately hate is the very reason your genetic lineage did not go completely extinct in the wild. Your physical body is fiercely protecting you. It is fighting a violent prehistoric war inside a quiet modern cubicle. Your biology is not broken. Your environment is simply unmatched to your extraordinary survival hardware. You are desperately trying to project an image of absolute, unshakable competence to the world around you. Do you deeply want to be the flawless professional, the exceptionally smooth communicator, the impressive individual who never breaks under the slightest pressure? You aggressively force yourself to smile, to maintain unbroken eye contact, to speak with perfect diction, and to perform every mechanical task with the cold precision of an artificial intelligence machine. You constantly punish yourself for every minor stutter, every trembling finger, every sudden hesitation, and every awkwardly spilled drop of hot coffee. You carry the crushing weight of modern hustle culture on your exhausted shoulders every single day, terrified that one tiny moment of public clumsiness will permanently destroy your carefully curated social reputation. You construct a magnificent, impenetrable marble statue of your ideal self for the entire office to admire. You polish it daily. You defend it fiercely against any perceived threat. You demand complete perfection from a nervous system that was only built to survive the wild. The tension builds in your chest. The anxiety floods your racing mind. The expectations suffocate your breathing, and you desperately try to hold it all perfectly together while everyone is staring directly at your hands. The circuit breaker trips. The system crashes. You drop the cup. But what if this exact failure is the very thing saving your humanity? Here is the razor-sharp biological truth that completely shatters your toxic illusion of normalcy. A human being who absolutely never experiences a sudden freeze response, who never clumsily fumbles under observation, and who operates with zero physiological friction, is actually deeply terrifying to the primitive brain. When you act perfectly smooth and emotionless all the time, the ancient threat detection systems in other people actively flag you as a highly calculated, potentially dangerous psychopath. Your brain instinctively knows that absolute perfection is an unnatural, predatory lie. The awkwardness you just experienced is not a tragic social death sentence. It is the exact opposite. That sudden loss of motor control, the violently flushed face, the spilled coffee on the floor, and your stuttering apology are all incredibly powerful, involuntary signals of physical vulnerability. You are subconsciously exposing your soft underbelly to the modern tribe. You are transmitting a loud, undeniable neurological broadcast stating that you are a safe, imperfect, and deeply empathetic living creature. The awkward cracks in your pristine marble statue are not shameful flaws. They are the only authentic places where true human connection can actually enter. You are fighting a massive, entirely invisible battle against a 3 million-year-old nervous system while simultaneously trying to answer emails and drink your morning coffee. Your working memory is burning calories at the speed of a professional sprinter just to keep you upright under the crushing weight of those predatory eyes. Nobody claps when you silently survive this intense internal war. Nobody hands you a gold medal for simply enduring the extreme physiological overload of being intensely watched. But your basal ganglia knows exactly how hard you fought today. Your body recognized an overwhelming threat. It pulled the emergency blast doors down to protect your core, and it successfully neutralized the danger. You failed the simple task. You spilled the drink. You looked foolish. But your biology won the war. You survived the encounter. You are completely safe. The next time you shatter a cup in front of your peers, do not silently curse your own cognitive intelligence. Do not call yourself a socially inept failure. Do not spend the night reviewing that moment in the dark. Your brilliant mind is not a broken machine. Your nervous system is a deeply traumatized veteran. It has spent 3 million years learning to keep you alive. It scans every crowded room for hidden threats. It monitors the shifting eyes of every stranger. It calculates the exact probability of your social rejection. It carries the heavy burden of your ancestral survival. It processes all this data while you type a simple email. When it suddenly cuts the power to your moving hands, when it violently flushes your cheeks with hot blood, it is not trying to humiliate you in public. It is desperately throwing itself in front of a perceived bullet. It is pulling the emergency alarm to protect your absolute core. You must stop fighting a relentless war against your own biology. You must stop forcing this ancient engine to act like software. The modern world demands a deeply unnatural level of social perfection. It expects you to be a flawless digital avatar, but you are a living and breathing biological organism. Your sudden clumsiness is the ultimate proof of your true humanity. It is the visible friction of a brain protecting your safety. Those awkward moments of freezing are not shameful personal flaws. They are sacred echoes of a time when vigilance meant survival. The people watching you drop that cup have their own alarms. Their amygdalas are also constantly exhausted and utterly overwhelmed. They will forget your tiny mistake in less than 30 seconds. Their working memory will erase the incident to make room for anxieties. You are completely invisible to their long-term social judgment. That beautiful invisibility is your ultimate existential freedom. You are fully allowed to be physically clumsy. You are allowed to have an uncoordinated nervous system. You have the absolute right to drop things when eyes watch you. Give yourself full permission to be beautifully imperfect. Take a slow and deep breath right now. Feel the steady and calming rhythm of your own heart. Acknowledge the immense effort your brain exerts every single day. Look at your trembling hands with profound gratitude instead of toxic shame. They are not weak or defective tools. They are fiercely loyal and protective biological instruments. The neural architecture inside your skull is a masterpiece of evolution. It has never once betrayed your physical existence. It is silently standing guard for you right this very second. Forgive your body.